This one is for my girls that are best friends with their snooze button. Yes, today we are talking about your morning routine and how to create the routine of your dreams. I'm not someone who these types of things come natural to. I'm not somebody who rises and shines. I'm more someone who snoozes and cries. So I have made myself a student of leveling up my mornings for the past year and a half. And I can tell you firsthand that there is not one other thing that has leveled up my life more than me attacking my mornings. So I'm going to give you a very nitty gritty breakdown of what I do almost every day for the first 3 hours of my day. That's right. This is before I hop on meetings, send emails. I'm really taking the first 3 hours of my day every single day for me. And I can tell you that this practice has been paramount in my wellness and self-improvement journey in the last year. You are listening to Monday through Sunday, a podcast dedicated to helping you level up your life every day of the week. This episode is going deep on the mornings and what you're going to do every single day to set yourself up for success. In this episode, we are going to teach you how to stimulate your mind, honor your body, and nourish your soul through some simple morning practices that you can take with you anytime, anywhere. So if that sounds interesting to you, stick around. Let's talk about it. Welcome to Monday through Sunday. I'm Logan.
I'm Sanam.
And I'm Lane. We're best friends, the founders of Blossom Brands, and the hosts of this podcast.
We can't wait to take you behind the scenes of running a 7-figure agency with our best friends.
We're sharing our mistakes, our lessons learned, and giving you tactical advice to build the career, the business, and the relationships you dream of, and a life you don't need a weekend to escape from.
So let's get balanced and let's get down to business. Welcome to the show.
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about how to create your dream morning routine. And this is something that I am just like weirdly obsessed with hearing other people's detailed routines. Like I just never get tired of somebody walking through their routine, whether it's on Instagram stories or a podcast. So I thought it would be fun to walk through mine, and because it's really evolved a lot over, I would say, the last, honestly, year. It's kind of been a more recent priority of mine, but it's really been one that's added a lot to my life, has helped me attack my days and reach my other goals. I really just think it's so foundational to the improvements in my overall wellness journey that I've been able to make in this last year or so. But I feel like I'm at a place now where it is becoming really an automatic habit. It used to be something that was hit or miss if I would do it or not. But I really, in the last, I would say 3 months or so, it's just become automatic, which is the best part. And if you listen to the habit stacking episode, you know what I'm talking about when those decisions are no longer on your radar and they're just happening automatically. There's just the mental energy it frees up. There's just nothing that beats it. So I'm going to walk you guys through my morning routine. It might inspire some things for your own. And then we're going to go through some tips and kind of just basically exposing myself for all the ways that I've gone wrong in trying to craft my morning routine in the past, so that you have a head start and hopefully it won't take you a whole year to figure it out like it has for me. Okay. So tip number 1 to create your dream morning routine. First, you're going to wake up early. And you're not going to touch your phone. You'll notice I said you're going to wake up early. I did not say what time. As you know, I've talked about, oh my gosh, this is going to be the new 100% with how many times Logan talks about the 5 a.m. club. But after I read that book, I became so obsessed. I had to wake up at 5 o'clock on the dot. And I read that book, like a year ago now. And over the past year, I've found that 5 a.m. works for me a lot of the time. Like I can do that, but there's also a lot of times that I can't. Like it needs to be 6, it needs to be 7. And honestly, that depends on if I'm able to successfully go to bed early the night before. But what I found is when I first started implementing this morning routine, I had such a 5 a.m. do or die attitude that something that was supposed to start my day on a positive note, like waking up and having this badass morning routine, actually turned into this cycle of self-loathing, because I would be so angry at myself anytime I snooze my alarm. If it was 5:30 when I woke up or 6 a.m., I would just get so down on myself, and I'd be like, that's it. Can't do my morning routine today. It's over. And I would say that's a wrong mentality to have, an all in or all out, regardless of what type of wellnessy goal you're trying to accomplish, whether that's fitness or nutrition or a morning routine. You need to do your best to be as consistent as possible every single day, regardless of how that turns out in a given circumstance. So like, for example, this morning I woke up at 6 and I did my full morning routine at 6 a.m. and I didn't cut corners. And that's what I used to do is like, if I didn't fulfill that expectation of waking up at 5 o'clock on the dot, then I would cut corners in the rest of my routine and be like, okay, now I'm not going to journal because I don't have time, or now I'm not going to do my full skincare. And that's just the wrong mentality and starts your day off with like a loss, instead of the way that you really succeed is starting your day off with a win, which is the whole point of a morning routine in the first place, is bam, 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 knocking all these things out, starting your day off with a win so that you can continue to win for the rest of the day. So long-winded explanation, but basically my number one pro tip with this is don't get too tied to the number on the clock. Pick a time that works for you, shoot for that time. And it doesn't matter if you get it right every time. What matters is that you're consistent and that you're trying. Hear me when I say waking up early, like I am probably the least qualified person to ever be able to be successful with that. Like I kid you not, when I was in high school, my dad was in charge of waking us up, me and my sister, and he would come in like 10 times in the morning to wake me up. There was a point where he used a squirt bottle. He would literally spray me with water to get me out of bed in the morning. Like it was a whole thing. So if I can wake up early, I promise you, you can too. So just a few tips on that in case snoozing is a big struggle for you. Number one, you just can't snooze the alarm. I know it is so, so tempting, but I actually had to turn the snooze setting off. I did this on my iPhone and I did this on my Hatch alarm. Like if you have the option to snooze, it's going to become like a knee-jerk reaction and like an automatic thing that you do without even processing. And that's the part that sucks the most, is when you sleep in and you're like, dang it, like I didn't even make the conscious decision to let myself sleep in. I didn't choose this life. Like it chose me. My biggest thing that I've learned is I just have to put my feet on the ground. So when that alarm goes off, there's no snoozing and there's no like, oh, let me just lay here and contemplate life for 2 minutes. Like if I wake up at like 5:57, I'm like, oh, I have 3 minutes I can like lay here before I have to get up. No, I will be fast asleep again in those 3 minutes. So my biggest tip with that is just put your feet on the ground. Because for me, if I stand up and I like go to the bathroom or drink water or whatever, like my body wakes up while I'm standing. And then once I start doing like my skincare routine, which we'll get into in a second, and like doing those next steps in my morning routine, that's when my brain starts to wake up. And last thing I will say, obviously, an early bedtime helps with getting up earlier in the morning. But when you're really trying to change your sleep schedule, sometimes you're not tired at night, and that's okay. So what I found is like, you've really just got to push through that first night. Like even if you're getting less hours of sleep, like if you stay up till 10 and you need to wake up at 5, like just wake up at 5. And then the next day you're going to get tired so much earlier, which will help you go to bed earlier so that you're waking up early, but also getting your 8 to 14 hours if you're me. So you're awake, you're alive, you're moving. This is the hardest part, I promise you. So if you made it this far, you are killing it. Next for me in my routine, and this is relatively new, I would say I've been consistent about this like for the past like 3 months or so, is I listened to, it was actually Gracie Norton's new podcast called Wellness Her Way. And I think it was like her first or second episode. She had somebody on that was talking about tongue scraping, and she's a big tongue scraper. She talks about it on her socials, but I had never really been convinced by it until she had this guest on her podcast. And basically what they were saying is like the stuff that collects on your tongue while you're asleep is like your body's way of like detoxing things that it just doesn't want. But a lot of people will tell you like drink water first thing in the morning. So if you're drinking water before you scrape your tongue, you're just like re-ingesting all those things your body was trying to get rid of. So the very, very first thing I do when my feet hit the ground, I walk into the bathroom, scrape my tongue, brush my teeth, and floss. So oral care, dental hygiene, all of that comes first for me. And then after that, I move into my skincare. And again, these are the type of like mindless tasks. My mind is kind of waking up as I'm doing these things. And then after that, I'm kind of like, okay, I can start doing like a little bit harder thing. So after that, for me comes making my bed. This is something not hard for me. I do it every day. I have for a while now. And so kind of before I leave my bedroom, I make sure that my space is clean. And I don't know where I got this from. It might have been like Marie Kondo, but I call it like resetting the room. That's like my tip for like keeping my house tidy, is anytime you use a room, i.e. your bed, you slept in it, you have to reset the room. So reset it to its tidy state, which is making the bed, your pajamas. Don't just throw them on the top of your dresser, put them in the drawer. And so I'll just do a little reset of my bedroom before I like even enter the rest of the house. And then I continue that little reset around that rest of my house. So I'll come in and do my pillow karate chops on the couch pillows. This is also the time where I'm opening the blinds. I'm turning off. I go to sleep with those red light salt lamps. I have the little ones from Amazon. We can link them in the storefront, but they're just like pink Himalayan salt lamps. And I have them at like at least one outlet in every room of my house. So I'm walking around, I'm opening the curtains, turning off the salt lamps, which is the reverse of what I do at night. So just before I get into my actual kind of morning sit down routine, I'm like making sure it's like a calm and inviting space and is like my space is set up for success so that I can then do that for myself mentally. So after that, I make my way into the kitchen and I will pour myself a glass of water, squeeze a quarter of a lemon into it and some pink Himalayan sea salt, microwave that bad boy for, I can't remember if it's 30 seconds or a minute, but just to make it kind of warm. And I'll drink one glass of warm lemon water. And for me, this is something I added to my routine, I would say kind of for two purposes. It really helps get your digestion going. I don't know what it is about the lemon, but it's just really good to get things going in the morning. And then also, if you take any medications, and I'm not sure if this applies to all medications, but I take thyroid medication and lemon water helps with the absorption of the thyroid medication that I take. So it's a little habit stack here. I'm hydrating, I'm helping my medicine absorb, and I'm giving myself something to like sip on for 30 minutes while I wait to like be able to have coffee or something. Not coffee, actually, matcha lately. But anyway, so that's kind of my next step. And also while I'm in there, I will pull my eye patches out of the fridge. Right now I have the cucumber eye patches from Peter Thomas Roth, and I just love them. They're like jelly and wonderful. I'm sure you've seen them everywhere, but eye patches are something I feel like is just a little level up to your morning skincare routine that I just never felt like I had time for. I was like, oh, who are these girls that have time to do these complicated sheet masks and all these things? Like, I've got work to do. But realistically, when you habit stack it, because after this, I'm going to go sit on my couch and kind of start my journaling part of my morning. So I'll have my eye patches on during that whole time. And it's just a nice little indulgent moment there. After I kind of finish up in the kitchen, I bring my water with me to the couch. And this is key because for a while I tried to do my morning journaling and stuff like still in my bed just to like relish in a little bit more time in like my warm, cozy bed. But I found that sometimes I would fall back asleep doing this even after I had gone through all these steps. So again, hard sleeper. So for me, I will go into the living room, turn on the lamp and sit on the couch. And I have two different journaling practices that I do literally every day. One is the 5-minute journal, which I don't know if I'm aging myself or like this is so millennial clean girl of me, but I freaking love my 5-minute journal. The trend never died for me. It is living strong. I have had the same one actually. I just checked. I've been journaling in the same 5-minute journal since November of 2022. I think. So over a year now. And I'll fill out the morning pages of that, which if you're not familiar, it includes, you fill in the date at the top. It includes a little quote of the day, which I like to underline any pieces that like stick out to me. And then it includes 3 things that you're grateful for, and then 3 things that would make today great, and then your daily affirmation. So for me, I use that as like an I am statement. I think I mentioned on the podcast in the past, but or maybe it was just on Instagram, but my word of the year is consistency. So an example would be I am consistent. And that's just like my intention of the day. Or like if I'm feeling like things are kind of hard, like I think this morning I was kind of having a harder morning and I wrote down, I am on my way. And that's just like kind of acknowledging like where I am in the present, but like the positive things that I'm doing to like keep me going. So before I fill out the morning pages for that day, I'll look back to the day prior and give myself little check marks if I completed things that were on my intentions from the day prior. So like if I wrote down, today would be great if I went on a long walk and I did that, I'd give that a little check. Or if I said like, today would be great if I like took that package to the post office and I didn't do it, I'd give myself an X. And I'm like, okay, that was an easy thing I could have accomplished today. And it's just like a reminder to like follow through on the things that you said to yourself, because I always try to make them really attainable. So anyway, 5-minute journal, I feel like it had its moment, but I've never really heard anybody talk about it in depth, especially in a while. And I just wanted to give a plug for that because I like it. And one day we're going to have Sanam do an episode where she talks about her morning pages, because that is another journaling method that I would say is a little more advanced. I don't think I'm quite at like the free writing space yet, but I would love to get there. So I just think the 5 minute journal is an easy, like kiddie pool version of like starting to journal. So I finished my 5 minute journal and then I will pick up my daily devotional. I'm religious and my faith's really important to me. And so just like spending time in the word every morning just really like gives me like positivity and like hope and like just a sense of comfort throughout my day that like nothing else can. I love a good manifestation, but like for me, this is really what hits home. So I would just encourage you, whatever it is for you that hits home, whether it's free writing or doing a guided meditation, like I would just encourage you to lean into whatever like really feeds your soul is something that's really important to do first thing in the morning. So everything that I just described, I really have it down to a science. It takes 1 hour. It's like 15 minutes for the skincare, 30 minutes for all the journaling, and then a 15 minutes to make my matcha and then put on workout clothes. I know that sounds like a lot, but really all of that just takes an hour. And if you think about it, just pushing your schedule up an hour to allow for you to take care of your mind, body, and soul are like the 3 categories that I try to always hit on in my morning routine. So I just think it's super important. And I've just like never felt more productive and effective in my day-to-day life than I have when I've been consistent with my routine. So that kind of wraps up the first hour of the day. And the next 2 hours for me, just to like, because I don't know, I think your morning routine is important, but it's also like, okay, now what do you do? Like you have all this momentum, you want to make sure that you're capitalizing. So just to kind of tie things up, I'll just talk to you a little bit about what I do with the next 2 hours of my day. So I would really say my morning routine is like my wake up process. Like I'm not thinking outside myself. I'm really just like focused within. And that's really it. I'm doing things that make me feel good. The next 2 hours, I will say, are like the most crucial to help me like win the day. If you're like me and have tried every email marketing platform out there just to end up frustrated, this is for you. I finally tried Flowdesk and love the way my newsletters look. Flowdesk delivers simple, intuitive tools for entrepreneurs to elevate their businesses, design stunning emails, sell seamlessly, and grow your list with powerful automations, all in one place. Plus, get real-time analytics for every email, form, workflow, and checkout. In our business, we use Flowdesk to send out weekly newsletters and capture leads using their custom sign-up forms. The interface is incredibly user-friendly, and their templates are stunning. I personally love that you can upload custom fonts and save your brand colors, making it super easy to keep your emails, forms, sales pages, and link in bio fully on brand. If you're not already using Flowdesk, you can sign up now using the link in the show notes to get 50% off your first year. That's right, 50% off for an entire year. Plus, by using our affiliate link, not only are you supporting the show, but you'll also get access to their link in bio feature completely free. Take your brand to the next level with Flowdesk today. So for that next 2 hours of the day, I would say for me, I kind of have an A-B schedule. Like, do you remember back in high school where you had A days and B days? I've found like 2 different uses of those 2 hours that both of them feel really good to me. And it's kind of like, I wish I could have both of them at the same time, but then it'd be like freaking 1:00 in the afternoon by the time I'm done with all that. So what I found is depending on what the day kind of holds for me will dictate what I use those next 2 hours for. So most frequently I will say I will get dressed and go do my workout first thing. It's that the body component of that mind, body, soul, whether it's a long walk, a short walk, a virtual workout, a studio Pilates class, anything like that. I would say that's the most common way that I use that 2 hour block. And I would also say for a long time, like my fitness journey was like the number one priority in my life because I was just really struggling to figure it out, which like, let me know if you want an episode on that because I have so much to say about just like health, wellness, nutrition, all of that. But anyway, once I kind of got my workout habit, like I wasn't dragging myself to the gym anymore. I knew I was going to follow through on that promise to myself. What I've also found, so this is like my B day that I really like to do first thing as well, is to sit down, like still in my robe and pajamas and knock out my most important work task of the day. I am like a lifelong procrastinator. So this so used to not be me. Like I'd heard this advice so many times and just roll my eyes, but they call it eat the frog, which is just like basically means whatever you don't want to do, you just like have to do it. You just have to suck it up, eat the frog, get it over with, and then you're going to feel so much better after. And so like for me, that could be like some complicated projections or like budget recommendations for a client. Or it could be making a phone call. Like, I don't know, like adulting, like type of phone calls annoy the crap out of me. Like having to call like the bank or the doctor's office. Like I just like put those things off to no end. So that is like the B version. It's either getting in a workout or getting in that like thing that I wrote down on my 5-minute journal. Like, it would be great today if I did X. I'm going to get that thing done. And then the rest of my day, everything I accomplish from there is essentially gravy. And I can like go to bed feeling like victorious. Like, I did it. Like, we got one important thing done. So we're 3 hours into your day at this point. And for me, I just find that my head is so clear during that block of time from like 7 to 10 a.m. that anything that I was struggling with the day before, like a complicated work project or anything I was putting off, I just have more motivation to tackle those hills in that window of time in the morning than I would later in the afternoon. Like, if I save something to the afternoon, it's not getting done. Like, I have such a hard afternoon slump that has gotten a lot better, but it's just like you have that feeling of, oh, I've still got to do this. Oh, I've still got to do this all day long. So I want to like nip that feeling in the bud. So I find by like getting that done, scoring my first win of the day, and major key to all of this, my phone is on do not disturb this whole time. I have not even touched my phone this entire time. And if I'm on my computer, I make sure that I'm on do not disturb there. So even as like I said, this block is like 7 to 10 a.m. So even though my team is logging on at like 9 a.m. and people are starting to Slack about work things, maybe ask me questions, I'm not seeing those questions and I'm not letting those derail me until 10 a.m. And then once 10 a.m. rolls around, I'll do a quick check, respond to anything that I need to. And realistically, I've only kept people waiting for like the first hour of their day. And they also need to like do their workday ramp up. And so I found that it's a good way to give myself a little bit of time without feeling like I'm missing anything or holding anybody back. Because when you work on a team, I think it's so important to be respectful of other people's time. So my number one pet peeve is I never want my team members to be waiting on me to do their jobs. So being able to be available is important, but you also want to like protect your like zone of genius. And for me, that happens to fall in the morning. So that's a quick rundown of kind of what my like best morning looks like. And I've really found it to be effective in both my personal development and happiness and from a career perspective as well, being able to tackle those giants first thing in the morning. So before we jet off, just a few quick tips and takeaways. Within those first hours of your day, you don't have to follow the same order that I do, but just try to think about doing something for your mind, body, and soul. Again, for me, my mind is accomplishing the thing that I'm stressed about, whether that's a work thing, whether it's getting a workout in, body, getting a workout in, drinking water, getting some sunlight in my eyes in the morning. That's really good for your circadian rhythm. And then for your soul, that could be a Bible study, devotional, a meditation practice, mindfulness, what have you. And then lastly, I think the important thing to remember with all of this is everything I just described is what works for me. And like I said, it's come through a lot of trial and error. And the biggest thing that I've learned through that is you have to keep what serves you and let go of what doesn't. So like I said, I'm finding lately a 6 a.m. wake up call is working a lot better for me than 5. Yes, in my head, I would love to be that 5 a.m. girl every day. But right now, 6 a.m. is serving me. It's successful. I'm able to follow through on it. So that is getting the job done. I'm not so tied to this certain time or this certain order of operations. Or if I accidentally, absentmindedly pick up my phone and get on Instagram, I'm not like, oh shoot, like I blew it, right? I'm just closing the app, I'm putting it down, or I'm setting my alarm for a different time the next day. Like, you just have to be willing to evolve and like give yourself grace, and like you can stumble without falling. And I think that's my biggest takeaway with this, and really with anything self-improvement related, is to not have that all in or all out mentality. And don't take something that somebody on Instagram or on a podcast like me tell you to be the truth. Like, use that information as a tool in your toolkit, test it out. If you like it, keep it. If you don't, lose it. It's really as simple as that. So with that being said, I hope this was helpful. I hope that this gave you some ideas to create your dream morning routine. And I also want to know if there's anything that you currently have in your routine that I missed. Is there something that I don't know about I need to be doing? Like, are we ice rolling? Are we gua shaing? Oh my gosh, body brushing. if you have a good body brushing routine, tell me, because I keep mine hung in my shower. And every time I get in the shower, I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot to do it again. So anyway, if there are any other components of your morning routine that you think that I should know about, send us a DM at Monday through Sunday pod. And I hope that this gave you some ideas to maybe incorporate. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to let me know.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of Monday through Sunday. If you're building a career, a business, or any relationships, we know your time is valuable, so thank you for spending it with us.
With that in mind, we would be so grateful if you can spare 2 minutes to rate and review this podcast. Your reviews help spread the message to more people that work doesn't have to suck.
By the way, if you're looking for your community, join us on Instagram and TikTok at Monday through Sunday pod. We're all about connecting our like-minded listeners together. Let us know if there's anything you want us to talk about by sending us a DM. We'd love to hear from you.
Thank you again, and we'll talk to you on the next episode.